Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by Cinephiles for Cinephiles.
And ropeless.
No more rope. And he's sad. He's sad, and in his head is Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
You okay over there, buddy?
Yeah, you right?
One for me.
One for my dead homies. No.
One for the rope.
Oh my god.
Welcome back. This is our final week in War Month.
Yeah.
And what a way to end it.
And what a way to end it.
What a happy fucking month.
Jeez. You right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bucky's?
Yeah. I'm okay.
We're back. We're
back.
Welcome back.
here to talk about a viewer request film, something good to kind of bridge us out of War Month and potentially into our request month in January. So,
Merry Christmas.
do you really want your rope back?
No.
Welcome back.
Well, welcome back.
Yep.
We're here to talk about Rod Lurie's 2019, to The Outpost.
It was a fan requested, right?
It was a fan request. Shout out to Mr. Eddie Young.
Keep sending in your films.
Let's see how long you can keep this up for.
He's broke.
Before we go into the film, I'd like to introduce my fellow co-host, Mr. Jean-Eric Castro, giving us
Hello,
an acting
everybody.
perspective.
Acting perspective and a little. I've never been to war.
You've never been a war film guy? Is that what you mean
No, I was
to
gonna say giving you a war perspective, but
You've never been to
I've
war.
never been to war. But yeah, I mean, this was a decent one. We'll talk about it.
Mr. Michael Lalaw offering a cinematography perspective.
It's always something to smile about, I guess.
Especially in war. Mr. Austin Taylor Young, making sure we're sounding good on the ones and twos
Why'd you
there.
use my full government
Oh,
name?
no, because we're talking about a government film.
I guess so.
Just to
I'm
let
saving the best for last.
And
Our
giving
humble
us,
film servant.
wasn't done, Austin.
Oh.
Giving us a producer, editor. I feel like between the two of you, between cinematography and editing, this is interesting. I don't know why this was the film to make me feel like, God bless 80s on a war film. The script soups on 80s on a war film, because gosh, man, keeping track of that mess.
I feel
Yeah.
like it was a mess. Like I don't.
Jeez. I'm your humble film servant, Carlos M. de la Torre, offering a writing directing perspective.
You just didn't want me to let me introduce you, huh?
No, I wasn't done introducing you.
Let's see. Introduce Carlos. How would you do it?
The hostess with the mostest.
Packing where he's lacking.
Our humble film
Snap
servant.
out of it, man.
Your
Eyes
rope's right
open.
next to you.
Eyes open. Come on, stay with us. Stay with us.
For anybody listening,
If you had to have sex with a guy, tell me now.
for anybody listening,
your head.
it's 11 o'clock on a Sunday.
It is.
So
Cheeked up on
we're
a
here
Sunday.
for you and for us.
Yeah,
just got out of
we're
work.
here. We gotta.
I've seen hell. It's Starbucks on a Sunday.
It's alright, the we all saw Mike Tyson's ass.
Yeah.
No, I was saying it's Starbucks on a
yeah,
Sunday.
We're
coming
not
off
here
that
to talk about Mike Tyson's ass. We're here to talk about The Outpost. Man, look at that. They green screened all of that, didn't they?
Dude, the smoke was killing me, bro.
Let's talk about the social network.
I was talking about the social network. IMDb, it's your fault. We're back. This film stars Scott Eastwood, yes, Clint Eastwood's son. Caleb Landry Jones, who I think we collectively feel did the best out of this entire cast.
Yeah, definitely.
Orlando Bloom for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know why he was there.
The fun fact about the cast, well, Scott Eastwood is obviously Clint Eastwood's kid, right? Milo Gibson is Mel Gibson's kid.
I just saw that. What?
Yeah, and then there's a third guy with the last name Jagger, who's Mick Jagger's kid.
No,
Isn't it
Yeah, so
something?
there's a few Nepo babies in here for sure.
So
Wow. Which
just-
is the one who played himself?
Oh, yeah, Rodriguez, no? Something Rodriguez?
James Jagger, by the way.
James Jagger.
Yeah.
Daniel Day Rodriguez.
Played himself in the film.
There was a few soldiers,
it's a little
who
risky
just-
sometimes.
non-actors who actually played soldiers.
So a soldier who was in that battle played himself in the film.
I saw the one Act of Valor where they used a bunch of like military people, and I don't know how to feel about it, man. It's I get the whole you want to bring in real
Authenticity.
authenticity, but
You know what I think it
Give
is?
the actors, you know,
Yeah, that's
a
where like
chance.
editing helped them out in that film especially.
Well, you know, I think what happens for these films, because it's not uncommon to hear about like military coming on in to play military
Yeah.
roles and all that. I feel like for other military people, that authenticates the film. And maybe that's also something to talk about, like with these kind of films. If it was like just a full studded cast of actors,
stars.
and they're playing it. I mean, that's where I've seen veteran reviews of films, and they say, "Oh, we don't
Hollywood.
act like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't talk like that." Like I know a lot of people didn't like The Hurt Locker for similar reasons, where they felt like, no, this whole like having these emotions of like what's right and what's wrong and in the moment and all this kind of stuff. They say you don't go through that. What they do is that they talk like they talk in this film, and they run around, and when shit hits the fan, there's a certain way that everything goes down. And to other soldiers, this is more authentic than like something like
Well,
that.
yeah, but I mean, you got to take it to like. It's a difference between being there and being an advisor. Than actually being in front of the camera and acting it out.
Yeah,
Because
but
at some point you're just making a documentary. That's
yeah,
right.
but then I mean the question becomes like, you know, who's the audience?
Whereas
you know?
with this one, it was just one guy, right? That one guy.
No, there was a few.
Oh,
There was a
okay,
few
okay. See, that's
military
risky.
who weren't actors. Yeah.
No, but that played themselves.
Oh, that played themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the only one. But there
Okay, see,
were
I like that. That's-
soldiers who were playing.
See,
No,
if it's
and a
one
lot
or
of
two,
them-
that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. But when you have a whole cast like Act of Valor, I don't know if you guys have seen that. Beautiful action scenes, just the acting lacks. Like, because it's people that
I
just.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it goes down to like, you know, who's it for, right? Because like this was requested by a veteran, your father. So I feel like for veterans watching a film like this must be in some way like an epitome of the tortures
Yeah.
of the Afghanistan war, which is very fresh in a lot of people's minds, a lot of veterans' minds.
Yeah.
But also like the height of heroism when it comes to being in situations like these. And I feel like it feels authentic as well as, you know, I guess well crafted where civilians can also understand the stories. And I think this one is in a very interesting category when we talk about war films. But
Yeah. I agree.
this was a viewer request, but coming from the Austin side. Austin, who would you like to go first on ratings?
Carlos.
Hi.
I don't know. I'm just,
I've been picked on first for like the last 4 episodes.
no. I was first last week.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
you talking
Stop
about?
making it all about you.
Yeah, man.
Hey, no, I like that.
Let him have one toy. We took his rope away.
Yeah, but is that a pen?
Yeah, it is. I got off of work.
Okay.
I didn't work today. I have a
Keeping
pen in
it
my pocket.
interesting.
Yeah, this is in an interesting category. It is formulaic in a sense. I thought the best thing it had going for it was the dialogue. I think it felt very real. I think it's one of the first ones where they're not trying to be precious about how the soldiers speak, which I thought was great.
I don't think it was perfectly balanced.
What do you mean?
Like, it wasn't over the top, but it wasn't too much. Like, it was just kind of like I said, they were repeating a lot. They were repeating themselves a lot, and I know like it's one of those where it's a wonder. So you're like,
Yeah.
yo, you just go for with it. Whatever comes out, comes out. I just felt like they kept repeating themselves.
I'm talking more about how they're talking to each other,
yeah,
especially when there's nothing going on. Just the whole kind of
Gun
Raw
to your head,
banter.
you got to fucking man.
Yeah.
just fuck around. Like,
I like that. Yeah,
I read something about this being the film that holds the most F-bombs in a war film to this day.
really.
So that, again, I find that interesting. It's not being authentic. It's not being over dramatic. It's not being melodramatic.
Exactly.
But the dialogue felt really real. There's a couple corny things in there, but
Like masturbating to somebody else's wife.
no, that was cool. That was actually cool. No, but
It's
again, a
true.
lot of
It
more
could
raw,
happen.
real moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got kind of thrust into military. I got to hang out with a lot of military personnel because of my background with like the Royal Rangers and it being this national organization with that's mostly led by military people. So you get to see them talk to each other, and yeah, it felt very good. It felt very authentic. Again, it was a Christian organization, so no F-bombs, but you get to see how people actually talk to each other in that world,
Right.
and you get to see their values. And I like when a war film can open up a conversation about politics, but not be super political in its approach and
Like
its intention.
heavy-handed?
Yeah, but it is opening up a what's our mission again? Like that was the question in this film quite a few times. So yeah, I like that it did that. I think it did everything pretty well. I think as far as military films go or war films go, I don't think it did anything too fresh. I think it's pretty formulaic. I thought the camera work was really nice. I thought the dialogue was really nice, but it didn't blow my mind. It didn't. It told a good story about a group of heroes, and why not? So I'm sitting somewhere at a 7. I'm at about a 7. Yeah.
Fair.
Who's next?
Left or right?
Ropeless, go.
Ropeless.
Hey, he's talking about you.
You get the talking knife.
You get the talk.
You get the talking knife.
Okay. Well, now that I have the feeling stick, I think
You think. You're the thinker.
Do the thinker part.
no.
Do the.
There we go. That helps. It usually helps.
I feel that for a film like this, there's a lot of authenticity, and when we're talking about war films and what we've seen with all of these, it really is taking a lot of people who have never seen these zones and regions and combat and everything, and you're trying to throw people into that scenario. One of the things I'll credit it with is that a lot of times, even movies we've rated really, really high, when we naturally sense a lull, that visually it's going to be doing something on the screen, but for us, we know that, let's say this part's just a montage of, let's say, somebody's life, or give me 1 second to adjust my mic. If we see like a montage of somebody's life, or we see a moment where a character is just like pondering, so we know what's happening in the film, but we don't need to put too much attention. We've talked over it, or we might throw a joke and all that kind of stuff. But for this one, during the really intense moments,
It's going down.
it's just like
Does it happen a lot?
drooping down. Yeah,
Don't worry.
I bought this pill from the gas station. It's not doing it.
Men. 2 out of 3 men.
Yeah.
Don't trust those Rhino 9000.
No. So when there's lulls in films, our minds wander. We joke around. But with this film, you can tell that it really immersed you in the moment, because I know that once the combat scene started for that last sequence, which I want to have a big conversation about, we all were silent the entire time. Like once that kicked off, we were just quiet. We were there. And I mean, there's something about films and that it can take people like us who've never seen an environment like that, and it feels so real and so authentic that you're immersed there, and credit to the filmmakers for being able to take us into every single space and zone and see the people running away, and also see the people that are just stuck in a van, and we're like, I really don't know if they're gonna make it out of this. And
I think it also did a very good job at like allowing us to understand where we were on the campgrounds, which buildings, and we got to see the layouts a lot, right? And I felt like, okay, they have this much distance to get to that checkpoint. So they did a pretty good job of that.
And I think that a lot of credit to the filmmakers, a lot of credit to the actors for really immersing us there. I feel like because of the subject matter, and I've had this feeling with a couple of films, sometimes the subject matter, I think, can overshine the filmmaking. It's almost like watching a good documentary that because you know it's real, and because you know these are real people going through real situations, you're so thrusted into that then technique's able to kind of melt away, because it's just a good story. And I feel like with this one, it's just a good story of talking about a real situation where, you know, they were ambushed in this little canyon, which is in the bottom of this little pit. They're almost like in a bowl, and they're just being shot down the entire time. And you're just wondering, like, how is all this going to end? Because real people went through this.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, and all respect to the filmmakers and, again, the people that it's commemorating and, you know, the soldiers and all that, I do feel like the film had shortcomings, especially when we're rating films, and where other ones have shown us a lot of, like, cinematic value and texture and do something for the medium. This one is going to be rated as, I'd say, somewhere like a 6.5. And I just feel like at this point, if you're loving this film, which you should love the film and should watch the film, I think it comes down to like how much energy on a personal level do you attach yourself to it. But I don't think the film itself holds a whole lot of weight when it comes to like cinematic value. I think it's a really good story. I think it's something interesting to talk about and explore, but I do think that the subject matter holds more weight than the actual like filmmaking. Yeah, but yeah, that's where I'm going to sit at. So 6.5, good film. Just I've seen others that are able to do it more and use more techniques, and this one was there. So yeah, I'll talk more about it right now.
Nice. You hear me? Me? Well, just piggyback off everything they said. Obviously, I agree. But one thing that really stood out about this film is every time I see a film about like the military or even like a precinct of cops, it's like this brotherhood, right? And with this film, especially with the actor Caleb Landry Jones, showcases that a lot, man. Like I remember when I was little, I wanted to be like in the military or just, you know, I wanted to be a cop.
Cool, tough guy.
No, man, just for the brotherhood.
Yeah.
For the brotherhood of like, you know, they all agreed with this, you know, no man left behind. And I could really relate to that, man. Like, well, not relate to that, but I could like.
You could see the attraction to it.
Yeah. And I've always been attracted to that. So I think that was a really great story. I think it overshadowed Scott Eastwood's character. That's where it kind of falls on me. I didn't like the ending of his. It came off too hero-ish. It came out a little too...
Yeah, even the way it was shot, right? Even him in the helicopter.
Even the way that they fly away and his hair is really nice and all
perfect
that.
It
white
almost felt
teeth.
like they were trying to force his character.
His character to be more important. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, no, because when you see like Caleb, you're like, oh my god,
that guy was putting everything into it.
Yeah, and he had to go.
And it made sense, right?
No, and I think Caleb's character is so interesting because even having that moment, like, do you think that it's just you and me? And for a moment, he believes that, and you see that desperation of like, I really think it's just us three here, and if it's just us three and he's bleeding out, we need to do something because there's nobody else coming. And that's a crazy moment, and I think that actor, like, all credit to him. You are on the edge of your seat because of him.
Because of him, I was about to say that. Just with his energy alone, it kept the whole scene, you know, intense, right?
Like, I think we all like to see a hero, and that's why, you know, Scott Eastwood's character's there and all that. We like to see a good guy, but I mean, there's something about seeing the guy who's at his most desperate moment, and
he did such a great job that I think we all felt it at the end when they're in the helicopter and he overhears what's his name?
Mace
didn't make it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
My god! And then the very raw, like, just screaming out, "Hey, he didn't make it!" Like, it's just like, oh, dude, like.
But like you said,
I know. Why is Ray Romano on the war? Deborah Mace.
With all that being said, I'll probably give it a 6.8.
6.8.
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, it didn't really do a lot for cinema, but what happened?
Mr. Young.
6.8?
6.8.
Fair. A second-time caller, long-time listener.
Second time.
Second time, long time.
You don't remember I called it a couple months ago?
Oh, that's true.
I was the one that had the blue lump on his
No,
back.
yeah. You were the one who called him for the radio contest, but we canceled that last week.
But I'm all packed.
You didn't even know if you won or not. What do you mean you're packed?
Yeah, like I thought I was gonna win.
It's all right. We'll get you a bus pass.
It was a lunch voucher. What are you packed for?
Pretty good.
for lunch.
Lunch.
What are you packing for lunch?
If it's a buffet, I got stretchy pants. If it's a nice dinner, I got slacks.
By the way, on
Smart.
the radio contest, now that I've been listening to the radio a little bit more recently, I love like, hey, you won $20 to Art Vinos, and then some guys, what? That's crazy. It's like, oh my god,
The little things, man.
yeah, like that can't even pay for the entire pizza. Like, what do you
Yeah,
do?
but $20 to our Ravinos wouldn't make your day better.
It
It
would.
would.
Your bill would be marginally less.
Oh man, but then I gotta drive to the station. They're on like the west side, and it's just.
I can't imagine it's like that anymore. I very much guess they just
the
email
last
you.
time
Yeah.
I
I think
won
so.
something on
Yeah.
the radio was like in 2014, and I had to drive all the way to the radio station to pick
Did
up.
you actually?
I think it
Really?
was like a $20 gift card to like Cinemark or something.
Nice.
Nice.
My mom won tickets to the rodeo. I didn't even know why it was at the Diablo Stadium, but I was like, my mom's like, "Hey, get in the car," and I'm like, "What's going on?" And it's like, "We're going to the rodeo." I'm like, "What? There's a rodeo?" And she's like, "Yeah, I won." And I'm like, "What was the question?" It's like, "What animal was Dumbo?" Like, what is this? It was the most random way to get tickets to a
I
rodeo.
just
but
wanted to get rid of him.
But
Mr. Young,
anyways, hi, how you doing?
He was an elephant.
your father,
You don't say.
the one that bred you, breeded you.
Wait, what?
Huh?
I'm sorry, Austin. Your father bred you?
This is news to
I mean,
me.
kind of. Yeah, half of it.
No,
You know.
I mean,
He was involved for a couple
You
seconds.
came out of his boss.
he breeded somebody else. That's how you got here, but I don't think he breeded you.
Oh dear God! Can we please stop talking about this?
First
Okay.
of all, bread is more of a.
Can we
bring
move
up
on? Can we
theme.
move on?
No,
Thank you. At least somebody
no,
understood
you're
what I
thinking,
meant.
you're
Yes.
thinking of raised.
No,
not
bread.
Bread. Bread is like breeding. Like,
Bread is like the thing you use to make a sandwich.
nah, bread
No,
is
what-
like insertion
Double E.
and completion. You know?
I
Double E.
that's breed. Yeah.
Can we move on?
Do you think like military people, when like their wives are giving birth, they call it like an extraction mission? Like they give it like some kind of cool title.
Holy shit.
Probably.
Anyways,
Like so, Miss Young like extracted, you know, the target.
No, she didn't. The doctor did. Probably.
Oh, okay.
Unless
Somebody-
she
And
Yeah.
then like
called the
I
midwife.
just imagine like, you know, Austin's dad like I got visual. You
So
know,
Ms.
like I just imagine it being very
Ms. Young
tactical.
extracted Austin from Mr. Young.
Anyways, Train Daddy aside,
He's 2 clicks out.
we got a. What do you give this?
Mr.
Please cut to yourself just so your dad sees
Yeah.
this reaction.
He's 2 clicks.
God damn it!
Austin's dad gave his mom 2 clicks.
I mean, you technically were in the war too, dude. But in his balls.
Can we stop?
We're waiting for your response.
Yeah.
I'll give this like a 7.3.
Okay.
All right.
It was interesting. I didn't realize this until I asked you. That I think you're right though. That before we started recording, I'd asked Carlos if we think there's more Vietnam or World War II films, and you had said, "Do you think at this point there's more like Afghanistan war films?"
Afghanistan, Iraq.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I think like out of that Afghanistan Iraq films, I think this is probably one of the better ones.
That's fair. For sure.
And I would even like I was tying that out when you guys went to go take care of your bowel movements after the movie.
When they went to go drop a payload
Yeah, that to drop off a care package.
care package.
Yeah.
Jokes.
I think this is better even than like the 2 better ones I can think of like most recent memories like American Sniper or 13 Hours of Benghazi, and I would even put this one above those. Personally.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like American Sniper.
Yeah, me too.
really like
I
American
told him too.
Sniper. Yeah, it's fair though, for sure. But
Yeah, I
again,
agree.
I think a good chunk of these. I don't know if it's just the era. They're relatively formulaic.
Do you think that there's like points that are knocked off because of the oversaturation? It's just this like this visual texture. Like sometimes even when I see a trailer for another military movie and it looks like it's set in the Afghan war.
But it's because it's set the way these films are marketed and made. Mind you, I said marketed first, the being the operative word. it feels like a video game. It feels like Call of Duty.
Ooh, yeah, really.
That's what a ton of these movies are meant to feel like.
Almost to glorify it.
Yeah, to glorify it.
Yeah.
But again, the brotherhood is also part of it, but most of it, it's like, can I succeed in this mission and be the hero? And I mean, I was in one of these movies, and it wasn't that great either. In 12 Strong, it was, it was based on a true story. Also,
I think a lot of these are.
yeah, a lot of them are. But do you ever walk out remembering the names of these people? I don't.
Yeah.
And that's got to be the most important thing. But you walk out of like American Sniper remembering Chris.
I forget
his last name. Something with a K. Chris Kyle. I think it's Chris Kyle.
Chris
no?
Kyle. Yeah.
Chris Kyle. So again, they do a good job of reminding you who this is about. And it might just have also to do with an ensemble cast. I like what you guys said about it not being oversaturated with a big star-studded cast.
Yeah.
This did a pretty good job of the balance. Like I said, in 12 Strong, it was Chris Hemsworth, Michael Pena, Michael Shannon.
Shia LaBeouf?
No, but there was a lot. There's a lot big
those are
star-studded
three already.
cast.
I haven't even seen it. So.
But it takes away from...
Your boy comes out, bro.
Yeah, your boy comes out. Jeez, come out.
I saw the
Chaboy?
screenshot.
Yelling some shit.
Chaboy from Chabor?
What'd you yell?
What?
Just a preview. What'd you do?
I have no fucking idea.
Allahu Akbar.
Something like that. Maybe. All I know is that they gave me a real prop gun,
No,
not the rubber ones, because I was more in the front. That was the reasoning.
You look more like the bad guys.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute.
Obviously, you didn't go all out like Baldwin at least.
Jeez.
Hey, come on,
we
man.
have a cinematographer right
Yeah,
here.
dude, it's still fresh.
I take offense to that.
Hey, you got acquitted, huh?
I got what?
He got acquitted, or whatever. you call it.
Yeah. Well, for one of the lawsuits.
For one of them.
Anyways.
Yeah. So I think
man.
you're right. I think I give it a little more merit too because of that. I think for a market that's oversaturated on the Call of Duty films, as they henceforth will be known, this stands out a little more. Stands out a little better. I even think in its cinematic value, it did something extremely well. Which, like I said, if I were directing a war picture, I'm sure I'd lose my fucking mind on keeping track just on continuity alone, on certain situations, on where camera's going to be, where and why. That's pretty rough.
I think, this is probably also one of those where it's put more into the editing because, especially like when you're
Yeah.
recounting an event, you could linger and shoot the entire coverage and scene for like certain characters, which I'm pretty sure they did. And then from there, like you edit it together and it's like at this moment in time, we're here. And at this moment in time, we're here. And, so I think you're like keeping track of like, oh, today's sequence is we're just going to cover, let's say, the guys who were stuck on Lars 2, that vehicle. So we're just going to shoot all the sequences that revolve around this vehicle because that's like the only action that's happening. And then we're going to do all the ones that are at that home base, then all the ones in the medic camp. And then I'm pretty sure in the edit, right?
Yeah, but that's still not easy.
No, I don't think so.
Especially when it comes to explosions and again, when a film is shooting or making a sequence to be. I know because I experienced it. I was there when I was on 12 Strong for the day of the big scene, the climactic scene of a suicide bomber.
Did they all were they all coming on you?
Yeah, they were coming all on me.
Did they get in a line? Or
It's like in a row. No, but you can tell when it's just made for, leading up to this climactic situation. This film was teasing the climactic situation for the entire film. And we fell for it. We fell for just like the characters. Like, oh yeah, they're going to get out of here, of course. No, yeah, the Taliban is coming. The Taliban is coming. And then they came, and it was out of the blue, which is how war works, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I thought just for those reasons, and it not just being a war film for the sake of gratuity and explosions and getting shot and stuff like that. A lot of war films do that, again, to up the quote-unquote cinematic value in their eyes. This didn't have any of that. I felt like the cinematic value of this film came out of the story, came out of the seamlessness of the editing, and it also came out on the camera work for me. When the film opened, I thought, here we go. They're going to use this continuous camera movement, and they're going to pan, and there's going to be long shots because it's formulaic. Because other war pictures do it. Other modern war pictures do it. It's again, stuff like the Hurt Locker. The Hurt Locker really popularized those camera movements. But they did it very well in this one. They didn't use it. They didn't use it in a way that felt like it burnt out at any point. It didn't get stale, and they used it correctly in the war sequences, also when there's just the guys talking. I thought the cinematography in this was actually done extremely well.
Like, I love that crane shot on the bridge.
Yeah. It did something pretty spectacular for me on the camera movement. Because it did it with more intention than other war pictures do it. Other war pictures are going to do an aerial shot for the sake of doing an aerial shot because that's what we're used to seeing in video games.
Or I think one of the shots that you probably see a lot is whenever there's an explosion or something, instead of focusing on the POV impact of that, it's always these wide shots. So the explosion that we're going to zoom out and see, it goes up in the air and it's this huge thing. Where here, so many explosions and things happen, but it's right next to you.
Disorienting. It's again, I applaud that. You're hit it right on the nose on 12 Strong. This big explosion, people flying on the ground. We all had to drop the floor, but it was a wide in the edit. And again, this for me did it a little more intentionally.
Did you talk to the director and be like, it's not working for me?
Yeah, come here, let me talk to you for a second. No, dude, they had fucking Technicranes. They had the whole deal. It was a big set.
Nice.
But it shows you a little bit about what their intention is. And by the way, just to point out a little bit of this, the director of this, he hasn't done much, but the director of 12 Strong, he was a big commercial director for UK ads,
they make money.
Yeah, they do, but that's the thing, right? You know how those guys shoot things. You know that they shoot it to make something look extremely pretty. They're selling a product. So yeah, it's kind of a funky situation to not pick the right storyteller for something like this. Somebody who I always felt was kind of perfect to be directing war pictures, and he didn't do it a ton after the one that made him famous was Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone directed Platoon, and he was a veteran. Oliver Stone went to war.
Yeah.
So he knows what to look for. He knows what he wants to highlight. I'm not saying, military personnel exclusively should direct war pictures, but whoever the consultants for this guy was, they did a hell of a job. I'd have to throw that out there.
Well, I think when you guys walked out, they were showing some behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah,
and they had some of the soldiers that were at that battle. That
I always like that.
Authenticated,
and they were on the set, so they talk about and they're recounting the events of when you would land in there, you would look up in every direction and it was just the hills on you, and
That's scary, man.
They were talking about when they were walking down, you would just see the flicker of the fire coming from that pit upwards, and again, I think a big strong case for this film is the fact that it authenticates itself so well, and a lot of energy was put into it needs to be accurate, and I think you see that in all the veterans they interviewed, all the casts that were chosen to look super close to their counterparts that they're playing.
You know what amazes me is even them saying it is throughout the chaos, how do you stay
calm?
Not only calm, but do your job. These guys were get the ammo.
They showed both sides of it, right? They showed both sides of it. They showed a lot of people hiding out.
Yeah.
People get the fuck out of the way, pussy.
But talking about how real and authentic this one is that's how it is, man.
It's flight or flight.
Fight or flight. Exactly. Some
no,
have
even
fights,
on Caleb Landry's character, Ty. The fact that they would just scream at him and what an interesting foreshadow that
we were all. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
We're all rooting against him.
No, I know, but at the very, very beginning, where they say, "Hey, when this happens, you can't choose to either like fight or what was it like? You can't fight
And argue.
and argue
Oh,
or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. You need to do one or the other. So like when we're here, there's no fighting, and
Yeah.
then later on, same exact position, get us ammo, and he's in that, and he's like, "Hey, are you good? Is everything going on?" And you just see him like holding together with the team and all that kind of stuff.
And there was a team who like treated him like shit, man. Like that's the arc.
That's the arc.
They were bullying him to a point where like we thought he was going to turn. I thought they
We
were
all
going to
thought.
turn on them, but no, he ended up growing as a person and saying like we're all in the shit, so let's figure it out.
Yeah.
That's a damn good arc.
Especially the ending of him like showing us the audience of what PTSD is. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and I want to talk a little bit about that because the intention of the film, right? If we get to the nuts and bolts about it,
What's the intent?
I think the intention of the film was to point out the government fucked up. They fucked up from the get go.
Yeah. That's
That the whole change of this now to set a precedent to not do this again
Not put
and
them
put their soldiers in this type of fucking
yeah.
situation. Something that's unwinnable. If it's unwinnable,
Exactly.
it's closed. It ain't. I mean, you pick up on that. I hope you ask yourself that, like, why is the
Yeah.
U.S. military allowing this shit? But it doesn't harp on it. It doesn't make it the main focus of the film.
I think it doesn't because there's also a weird thing when it comes to like the Afghan war films where we look at Vietnam and a lot of the commentary is we shouldn't
Shitty-ass
be
war,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, this is awful. We shouldn't be here. You're throwing people into hell for no reason and you're expecting something good to come out of it.
Yeah.
And with like Nazi era pictures, it's like, look at the cruelty that's happening.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
that could be reflected today if you're not keeping that in check. But with these ones, there's this weird balance of like, hey, we're in a bad situation, but we're still doing the right thing. And we're America.
You know why I think that is? Because we're still relatively involved in that war. And at the same time, there will be such a backlash from the military community because most of those people are still alive.
Yeah.
People who fought in those wars are,
No, but
still
even
around.
like,
Agree.
well, I guess, yeah, when they would make documentaries about like Vietnam veterans coming back, a lot of them were kind of like,
Fuck Hollywood.
yeah, no, they were super angry at the
Yeah.
fact that there were so many people being like, oh, you shouldn't be in this war and all this sucks. But then they were like,
we're
dude,
doing the right thing.
I
We're
remember
fighting for the right thing.
for Chicano Cinema, they showed us a doc on Chicano war veterans,
Mm-hmm.
and they were saying, and these guys who came back from war, they were like, dude, I had to do like the worst things imaginable, and then I come back and people are like booing me. He says,
Shit.
I just wish that I had my gun again and that these people were like the Vietnamese so I could end this quickly.
Whoa,
like,
man.
and it was just, and that was like an honest fact. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe just a lot of this one, it's
think it's
there's
what it
still a
is.
lot of patriotism. And I
Yeah.
think when you watch these movies, every hero is not just a hero, he's a patriot. He's
Yeah.
fighting for his country.
And I
He's,
wish we stuck around on that a little longer because what I love about this film is that it authenticates the behavior of people out there. They're not out there, saluting their flag every
Yeah,
6 hours.
100%.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
They're out there talking shit and talking
Exactly.
about like, yo, we gotta make it through this shit. So why aren't they talking more about this, right, in the film? I would have wanted them to talk more about it. Talk more about the position they're in, who put them in this position. What's interesting about it is it might flip it on its head a little bit because there's a couple of times where they're like, we don't know. We don't know why we're here.
Yeah, and then towards the end, it kind of explains that, hey, the U.S. did something about it, right?
oh, well, you know what I
but I
also
know
think?
it should have lingered a
I
little bit more.
think this one shows, at least with this team, because I don't think it's trying to show an entire military force, but it's trying to say with this team, they were given a mission, and like even at the beginning of Orlando Bloom's character, it says like, "Hey, we're gonna do what we always do, and we're given a
We'll
mission.
deliver."
We deliver," and that's the mentality. They were just like, "It's hard, it's shitty being out here." But we're here because we deliver,
Yeah.
and like
It's
no
true,
matter
though,
what,
too, right? There's not going to be this uproar. If you're assigned to do something, you can
Yeah,
bitch all
exactly.
you want. You got to do
And
it.
I don't know if I'm like repeating myself, but yeah, I saw this in a couple of podcasts where like when the whole 2001 thing happened, a lot of people's patriotism came out. Like, I would never go to war,
right,
but
right.
after the 2001 they thought about it.
Sure.
So it's 2006, so it's a lot of,
It's a lot of fresh people that are ready to go out there
And fight
you
for the
know,
country.
I think it's emphasizing more on that brotherhood and that teamwork that comes together, and us, pulling through in adversity to satisfy the mission.
The most women, I was like,
Yeah,
man,
I
that's insane.
think in the commentary sense, it does kind of come out that again the government gave them a mission that ended up being very suicide, and it goes from the get go. It says, "Oh, the reason that place was given that nickname is because everybody who goes there dies." Because it's just such a bad place to be.
And you have to wonder. I mean, the propaganda side of the military is it's a brotherhood because you're fighting for your country,
Right.
And I think it's a brotherhood because you're going through shit.
Yeah.
Like you're going.
Yeah.
It's not really the country, because once you're in it, you're like, this is probably not worth it.
They even mentioned that
it's my life.
midway through the film, where it was like, "Hey, boss, well, do you want to give him a pay doc for his actions?" And it's like, what's that going to do here? Like, nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell him like, "Oh, you're going to get 1,000 less this month," and he's like, nobody cares about that. When they're there, that's when it becomes a very
And by the same token, when the black commanding officer comes into play, the coward. Bauer, the coward.
Don't ever call him that again. Do you remember?
That guy comes in and tries to fix everything with money. Like when he's chewing Scott Eastwood's character's ass, he's like, "Everybody here gets $1,000 more a month, though. By the way, just FYI, you get a pay bump. You get $1,000 more a month." And then when he's trying to negotiate with the elders at the gate, he's like, "You get a $3,500 fee for killing your daughter or whatever."
Right.
And it's like, it devalues.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it devalues the ability to do that because you're constantly
Devalues.
wondering, like those elders, they wanted some kind of payout. They were there for that, right?
And they were the one that
Most
keeping
of the
peace.
most of the other soldiers were like, one of the other soldiers was like, they killed this bitch themselves. Like they're just here for the money,
Right.
And he's giving into that. He's kind of like, oh,
Well, you have to.
do you? Americans, like he's basically saying like, this is how America handles shit. Here's some money.
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying?
But he's trying to keep the elderly
peace.
and the Taliban, because that's the middleman. So you got to play it. You got to play that game.
No,
you
but
can see that they were getting pissed off. They just killed the lady.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just
I
tone
think
it down.
It
give him some
also
money.
shows like with that character how crappy the situation was, where like nothing they did kind of worked. I mean, if they would tell like, and I know in multiple times they show that when they would train the soldiers, and they tried to work with the locals there to train them to fight against the Taliban. If anything went wrong, those people were the first to
bounced.
death.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, we can't protect anything. And then when they tried to negotiate with the natives, because there's a language barrier and everything going on, they're just like, well, what do we got to do to fix this? And we're trying to help, and we're trying to give the right materials and resources, but we also don't want to be taken advantage of. And how do we handle this? And I think it shows the frustration that they all had, where a lot of times they would have meetings, and sometimes it would sound good, like at the very
Keeping
beginning
the
with Orlando
peace.
Bloom. It's like, just lay down your guns and we'll all get through this. It's an honor thing. And later on, it's just like, okay, we're still getting shot at every day, but
shut the
maybe
dog,
the
bro.
intention there is the filmmaker like above the general audience member facade of this is a hero picture. It's like, hey, in reality, war sucks, and you guys are all feeding into it if you don't wake up.
Right.
Maybe they were trying to do that, and for that, I'd give it some points there because. Not every war film is brave enough to do that.
I also think that this one's flirting on a line.
Yeah, it is.
because
It very much
for
is.
us that we're separated from it, and we can also have a more open scale when it comes to talking about like, what does this mean for war in general? And it like, you can put any lens you'd like to, and you'd probably get a different movie. If you want to put the lens of war is bad, where it's pointless being here, you could put on that lens, and there's certain moments that are highlighted in the film that you feel like, oh, that is the perfect description of senseless violence on both sides, and no progress being made. And then if you want to put it as a pro Afghanistan veteran war film.
Yeah.
Look at these heroes and these badasses and going out and though their sergeants kept dying, they kept rising to the occasion, and every one of them were leaders. And if you want to look at it from the perspective of like patriotism, you can.
Yeah.
You got to look at it from an unpatriotic side. Like it's in this. It's in this gentle line, you know.
Yeah, it is. But that might even create more of a conversation, which I think is okay. What I'm wondering about is just the culture of war, the culture of military, specifically in the U.S. I think it's like gangs. I think if I believe my gang thinks blue is the color to go with, and their gang thinks that red is the color to go with, maybe some people start to think maybe red's all right. Maybe red's got a point. But nobody will say that out loud in military culture. Nobody will say, because they have to justify why they're doing it. They have to justify what they just fucking went through. So they're not going to say, yeah, fuck the government. They fucked me up. Or they,
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? They won't say that out loud. And those who do end up like Lieutenant Dan, you know what I'm saying? Forrest Gump, just drinking their life away and saying, fuck it, they fucked my life up or whatever. But there's I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know that there's enough of a conversation within each other, especially when you're active. And then of those who feel like they're proud veterans who serve their countries, they'll take that to their grave. And I don't think there's enough of a conversation there.
Kind of like I was mentioning last time, there's that one Combat Obscura, which is a documentary by a person that was sent out to do like military journalism during the Afghan war. And when he shows it, like, and the editing of the film, he kept the footage and was showing this really real, very sad side of the war, which is a lot of kids that are out there being dumb, not knowing what to do, then being bored, and because they're bored, they make stupid decisions, and then randomly, you don't know when it's going to happen, shit hits a fan, and then when it hits a fan, people die, and then afterwards, instead of having that person going home, a medal goes back. And that one was, a person from the war saying, I was there, and it really isn't all this hero and valor and all that kind of stuff, and it depends where you go to, but he just was super unpatriotic about the whole thing, but he felt like there needed to be transparency about that.
Right.
And with him, I mean, I know that the government's trying to sue him, and they were saying he took footage that he wasn't supposed to and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it really is if you talk positively, there's stories made about you, they honor you and everything like that. But if you talk negatively for a second because of how fresh it all is,
you're an infidel.
A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
You're an infidel. But it's also the thing. We saw the title cards at the end. How old were most of these guys?
Yeah, 21,
22.
There was a couple in the late 20s, but yeah, they were all.
And all the ones that died were like the older ones, the 30-year-olds and all that.
If you pay attention to science, the male brain is not fully developed till about 26. That's when you can start making some grown-up decisions. But you can join the military at 18, and it's because you're fired up and you got all the energy in the world. But
exactly,
you're not making good decisions yet.
You're not at all, man. I think when I was 20.
One thing I liked about the dialogue, and props there, is the moments in dialogue were very similar to the last films we watched when they talk about their personal lives. And, the one we kept quoting was the one I think Ty Carter said, which is like, no, before this, I worked at Lowe's, but then I also worked at the local cinema. And then before that, I worked as a mechanic, not licensed. And, and all these weird things they did before it was like, and then I came here. And the other one saying like, oh yeah, no, I used to wash cars or whatever. And a lot of them are just like, they all came from their weird walks of life. But now, and I think that's what that's more what I think it's trying to say. But now they're brothers. Yeah. It doesn't matter where you were before.
Yeah, we're all on even playing ground.
Yeah, we're all on even playing field. And I think there's something really impactful about, as much as they're all individuals and they've had their own life, when you saw people get gunned down, that's the sad part. The sad part of it, like, it's random. You don't know who lives and who dies, and it's not forgiving at all. Like when they were saying, okay, guys, on 3 we'll make a run for it. So run like hell.
Oh
And
my God, and
2 seconds later,
just
he's
see on the
shot
right
down.
side, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them, that's
No,
what
not
happened.
even the guy who says,
The guy with the glasses who's
well,
scared.
yeah,
I
that's
hate
who's
it.
on the
Oh my
flight school.
God, jeez.
Jeez.
No, I was gonna say the guy who's like, I sent him out. I sent him out to
Oh,
get
yeah.
ammo. I sent him out. Yeah, there's a ton of that for sure.
How-
But
how
again,
much
you
guilt?
don't know what's gonna work out, man. I don't know. It's a weird, funky situation. But I think this film gave little
chaos
little kind of glimpses of all of that.
of all that.
I get my
But
gripes
it's not saying. I mean, even those little glimpses, it's not saying anything any other war film hasn't said before.
Yeah.
Right, to an extent. And again, you can pick up on whatever you want. You can put in whatever lens
Yeah.
you want. You'll get a different picture out of it.
It's a fairly neutral film.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what your dad's point is on this, because your dad also loved Apocalypse Now, which is a very anti-war film. So I wonder what his stance
His
on
exact words was, "It was badass."
this film.
Yeah.
Okay, that's maybe where I'll give it
That's
some like.
interesting.
The film is leading up to this doomsday situation, and we all know that something bad's going to happen. We all
Right.
know that the outpost is positioned in the worst possible location.
Yeah.
We know that every day it's being threatened by Taliban, and it seems like every day information's leaking out. And then when they get very close to leaving, then shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
And then the fact that we hear that later on, it's 400 people. And also...
300.
300?
300 Taliban.
Oh, okay. Austin, are you able to check how long that sequence was from when the guy spotted all of them to the end of the film? Like,
I think I remember seeing a title card in the film said it was like 5:59, and then when they showed the sequence of Captain Portis showing up, it was like 6 p.m.
I think you mean runtime.
Yeah,
right?
I mean runtime.
Oh.
What's the runtime for that section? Because that feels like half the movie.
Yeah, it did.
It was long, and I think
It
that's...
felt long. I don't think it was that long.
Oh, no, I think it was like... Yeah.
So yeah, so when he spots him,
27.
Dude, that's close
I
to
love that
half.
shot though. Like the reveal of all the Taliban. Like, oh shh.
About 40 minutes.
See, that's long. That's, oh my God. I think that's where it feels...
It didn't, to me at least, it didn't feel too long.
No, you're immersed. I mean, you're
Oh, no,
completely
no.
immersed.
It didn't feel like, it's dragging. There's no...
No, but
there's,
what you're
no.
saying is how much importance they gave it to give it
Oh,
one
yeah,
third,
no.
1/3 of the runtime.
Yeah, they were like, no, this is it. This is what the film's about, is that battle specifically.
Yeah.
And a veteran seeing that,
I can
that was
understand, again...
It's probably why it felt repetitive
Exactly,
too.
yeah.
In a
I
sense.
think also, it's almost like that first part of the film is like, we just need to establish, emotional connections for the audience to latch onto. We need to establish some fundamental flaws in the characters, give a little bit of context to who's in charge and what's happened before. Like, I feel like it needs to do all that. And then once it does that, then it's like, okay, now throw them in the shit and let's sit there for 40 minutes to really watch this play out. And then because of everything, you're emotionally invested. You're at the edge of your seat because of the intensity of the battle and all that. So I get that. Oh my God. That character, I am not character. I want to talk with respect for people that lost their lives, but I don't like in the script writing because I don't like the script writing of the character who wanted to become a pilot. The only one with glasses. Scusa. I feel like that's one of these cheap ways in...
I'll just leave that up there.
It's one of these cheap ways in screenwriting that they decide, let's get something that people can emotionally get invested in, and then we'll twist the knife later on, and it's meant to be this hard moment. I feel like every one of the people that died, the genuine people, they all had stories. They showed vulnerability that each of them have their moments when they contact their families and all that. And those moments are good enough. But the fact that they use Scusa as this character that every time you hear from him or see him, he's talking about his family and he's talking about what he's going to do when he gets back. And
I'm
hey, I
willing to
just
bet,
signed
though,
up.
that he's a representation of a lot.
No, but I mean, I
most
think,
soldiers are probably, I would assume that veterans watching this be like, yep, there's always that one guy. I remember who that one guy was.
But I mean, to me, it just feels like
it is pandering. It is a little bit pandering.
They like when you hear the phone calls, and I feel like that moment is better because it shows that each one of them is a person with their own families and their own lives, and they each have that hope. And I understand that there might be that one person, but He felt like somebody that they were gearing towards audience.
They are. It was a little pandery, but I also feel like I don't even feel like there was an investment. I wasn't invested in that character. But I do feel like the commentary there comes from a place of like, hey, I don't think it was trying to be too heavy-handed in it. I feel like it was trying to say like,
it was.
All your hopes and dreams can go fucking nowhere when you're in a war.
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, every time you see that character, that's all he's here for. I'm just saying that every time they show him,
Yeah, he's a plot device. Of course, he's a plot device.
Yeah, but like, I mean, just for him to like show up and they're like, "Hey, Scusa, you gotta run out there. They're attacking us." Okay, and then runs 2 minutes, shot down, and then it's like I understand that's what you were for. But
I like the I don't like that character. I'm just saying I like the dullness of it. I like the sudden drop of this character. I like
I think
they didn't make him into a hero for any sense of it.
I think that they were really pushing that towards general audience members.
Sure.
I don't think that they wrote that character well. And I think maybe the recounting, they probably used a lot of like the real facts about him, like, oh, at the time he was applying for the Air Force. At the time he was, he had a lot of plans with his wife, and he would call her and stuff like that. And they probably used a lot of those facts.
Did it?
You don't think so?
No, I mean, like if you read up on the film, it actually says that it took a lot of artistic license. It wasn't very, very straight to the book.
That's even worse. Why are you making this character like that? I mean,
because it's a movie.
It doesn't.
It's a real American movie.
It's a movie for the
You have to have
general
those characters.
audience.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying it's good screenwriting. What I'm saying is that does it really shock you that a character like that exists in a movie like this?
No. But I just think in a film review podcast such as ours, I'd like to expand the conversation that if people are watching this and maybe looking at like, again, you're looking for what makes a good movie and what makes a bad movie, or at least for us, when we review these films, it's also for how are we going to implement in our own screenwriting, in our own directing, in our cinematography, editing, like how are we going to invest the best into our talents? And I think it's just important to look at moments like these, the characters like these, and
avoid them.
Understand what's wrong with that, because I think I think the battle I'm having is it's so easy to get lost in the spectacle, and it's so easy to get lost in the badassness of it all. And I've met a lot of young filmmakers that when they watch movies and they're barely getting into cinema and they're barely kind of understanding everything, they'll point out films like these and they'll be like, "But dude, it's so badass." And then, oh my god! And I guess like the first time. And this character, I felt like so tragic. It felt so tragic when he died because he had so much ambition and everything. And they're like, that's real screenwriting. Like that's real character and all that. And I mean, like, I feel like I'm gonna show this as an example of what not to do.
Yeah, that's fair. An example of what to do, like we mentioned earlier, is Ty's arc.
Yeah,
Ty Carter's arc.
And I mean, if I can continue my rant. Yeah, I do think that the cinematographer had a lot to capture, and they captured it in a very badass way. But I also give a lot of slack whenever I see cinematographers take one little technique, such as the 90-degree shutter angle, and putting it in these POV shots, and don't take a moment to think about any other type of composition other than this like face forward thing. I think
Call it the battle between the director and the cinematographer. I think this had a lot of intention for what shots it chose to do.
Oh man, but then these pretty boy shots where it goes back to like when they're in the bunker and these slight low angles and the hero shots and all that. Maybe for me, just because I've been watching more cinema that's either taken risk and challenges in the cinematography and everything. This one, I just felt...
I just think comparatively to other war pictures are constantly going to be leaning into the badassness of it all. I don't think this one did. I think there was more intention, especially in the intimate scenes. Sure, you had your hero shots that were fucking annoying.
But compared
like
to Full Metal Jacket that we just saw,
no, but Kubrick is gonna Kubrick. Like there's not an opportunity to. Also, I don't think Full Metal Jacket did anything all that intentional with its cinematography, all that much.
Yeah.
I don't think it did. I thought
did.
it, especially the first act, to me was just very bland.
No,
for cinematography, yeah, dude, I did.
I
don't
think
it's anything
I think
special.
so once people kind of discovered or I won't say discovered, but once they saw the effect that you could get with shutter angle, a lot of people started implementing it into their cinematography. And at least for me, whenever I've seen a war picture, I always see the same thing. They do this 90-degree shutter, which again, for young cinematographers and people who haven't played with it yet, I think that is a game changer because it really does have this subtle effect. The movie, what it does is that it just makes the it cancels out motion blur. That's all you really need to know. And by canceling that out, things feel a lot sharper. Fight sequences use it a lot to make the punches feel harder. It makes the action feel a lot more jittery, and it leaves especially like when you watch the moments where people are breathing heavy. I think it shows this kind of grit to everything.
I wonder your perspective here, Castro, because you're always one to say, you know, when we're arguing about how HDR looks like now and how, you know, the soap opera effect and how just
Back in the day.
as technology progresses, you know, we start picking up on techniques that can get gimmicky. We talk a lot about POV shots. We talk a lot about oneers. They mean something different today than they meant 20 years ago.
True.
But you're always for I want it to look as sharp as it can possibly look. I want it to look as clean as it possibly can. Do you think that played into any effect for you for this movie?
For this movie, was there any
It just
What do you mean?
they used a shutter angle that'll keep things very sharp all the time.
So you're saying that it was kind of like a soap opera effect, kind of?
That's not a soap opera effect.
I'm just bringing that up as a as a form of distribution and exhibition and shooting techniques and shooting technology. But what Delal's arguing is basically that they use this effect to keep things sharp in the frame, which you advocate a lot for, just to use the best technology for the best situations, especially when shooting.
Do you know what they shot on?
Putting words in my mouth. I'm just saying I like the soap opera effect because it has that in the room feel.
How is that putting words in your mouth? That's exactly what I said.
No, I didn't say all that. I just said
I
that.
think if I had to guess right now, well, show me the budget.
No, but as I've seen more movies with you guys, I don't know. My opinion's
Mil.
changing a little bit.
Okay.
For certain things, I do still
I
like.
did use some drones.
DJI X7. My guess was going to be a red with some really high-end Zeiss. Probably the Zeiss Compact series.
You could go to IMDb to find this.
It wasn't on there.
No.
Here's the better question. I don't know
Alexa
if I've
Mini.
asked you.
Yeah,
if
no,
you-
Aria
you've
Alexa
answered
Mini.
this. Why are you
it's-
against the soap operas?
Why am I against it? Because
It's a gimmick.
it's not so much that it's a gimmick. It just
Why is it a gimmick?
it's okay. It's a huge point of conversation. I think that's what people are impressed with when they're sitting in their living rooms watching their 4K TVs.
No, but you're talking to somebody that's just seen it. And
That's why. That's
Yeah.
somebody at home watching it on their 4K TVs because they can turn around to their barbecuing buddy next door and be like, "My TV's better. Look how crisp it looks."
see, that's not
what
where
the
I'm coming from. Yeah, that's not where I'm coming from.
But you're asking me about just throwing it on to the general kind of person, right?
Okay.
But that's not what the filmmaker intended. Like I love what LG is doing. LG is doing something pretty cool where they're basically creating cinematic mode into a TV.
Vintage.
Cinematic mode will put the TV into the settings that the
Lightweight.
format was intended for.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. It's like Scorsese said in the documentary we saw in Side by Side. If you really, really want to pinpoint who the final storyteller is, it's the projectionist. because they can set the lumens, they could set the crop, they could set the framing, they could change the story to their technical specifications. You can do that with a TV too. If you put it into this, creating basically pixels that weren't there in the capturing of the footage, in the distribution of the footage, you're changing up the film entirely.
For sure, but it all comes down to this: isn't a movie supposed to put you there?
Yeah, but if that's but that should come from the filmmaker, not from the technology of how you're watching it.
For sure, but that's the way I like to look at it. Now, I'm not the guy at the barbecue saying that my TV's bigger. I just like to look at it because coming from an actor, you know, I'm an actor. I really, really like to be as close as I can, or get that sense of feeling of I'm in there.
And that's fair. I just feel like personally, I don't need the technology to do that for me if the film's like a good film.
I feel like you guys are so well versed and with all this that it's almost like that old guy that, oh no, this is the way it's so. You know what I mean?
No, I think technology getting better. I don't.
Well, you just said it like into the cinema view of this vintage. It's like, well, yeah.
No. I didn't say anything about vintage. They were talking about vintage. I was saying that what cinematic mode is doing for these new TVs, for these 4K
it's giving
TVs,
it to you the way the director,
exactly.
The way they did
That's the way it should always be, because they're the ones who crafted the story. They're the ones who crafted the picture.
And I agree with you to a certain, but to me, it's just I'm glad that feature's there.
Mm-hmm. I think that kind of shit is cool.
Has any director ever messed with that?
Here's the thing. This is why I love Blu-rays, because when you're gonna remaster a film, at least like something Criterion does. Criterion puts a seal on the box of their cover, that says director approved.
Oh, I'm gonna get you. Okay,
right?
I got you.
Director approved. Director approved. If the director's still alive, they can sit in for the remaster. That to me holds a lot of value. Yes, I made this film 40 years ago.
I'm appreciating all that.
But I want to bring it into modern times. I just want to make sure that this scan is proper, that this 4K scan and the audio is updated. It didn't, like if you watch side-by-side things, sure, we lose grain, we lose certain situations from actual 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter, but we don't lose the film.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't lose the color palette. We don't lose the intention of the shot. And the more technology progresses, and you start leaning into the spectacle of things, you start losing focus of the intentionality behind using the technology.
I think that it's just getting to the place where, look at cinema. Now we have those X seats and we got the 360s and the spheres. I think it's getting to that point that we're gonna welcome that type of technology. I feel like I'm waiting for that time where, oh wow, I'm in there.
You know what I think happens?
And that soap opera effect is it's the future.
I think one aspect in filmmaking in general is this notion of immersion. I don't think immersion is the entire picture of what the art form of cinema is supposed to do.
Oh, let's talk about that. What do you mean?
Like,
isn't the immersion the whole thing about how you can
I think
experience
as
this
art,
film that picture that they drew for you?
As art, one thing is immersion, but another thing is to provoke thought. Another thing is to aggravate you. I feel like, and immersion's this like if it can't immerse you, then you're not going to experience everything.
If you're relying solely on the technology to immerse you, then we got a problem.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like, we're going to get to that point because technology, the cameras, everything is just evolving. We're seeing even the theaters that were the immersion of it. I feel like eventually we're gonna 8K is not gonna be enough. It's gonna be like, it's literally the soap opera effect. I just literally don't see how you guys are not seeing that. That's what we're going to.
They've done a test, or I think we brought it up a couple of episodes ago, that they've done tests with 360 cameras, and they've shot films that way, and they keep track of people's eyesight and like their eye line. And they've noticed that, yeah, sure, people will like look around every now and then, but they fix into a certain area that basically the rectangular vessel that we're seeing films through, that's the maximum we even want to explore
Process,
something. Yeah, because there's moments, even like with the XD theaters that will show you the side panels.
240s.
They won't do that for every scene, right?
No,
like
won't.
they do
shut
it
them down for certain situations, and then
they'll do them for certain scenes because in those scenes, feeling the immersion is going to do something, but in other scenes, focus on the story because the story is going to do something.
And
else.
I love that. I got to see Avatar: The Way of the Water in a 240.
Yeah.
That was fucking great. Don't get me wrong. I think like what you're saying, the soap opera effect situation. I think that's the future of certain things. But I also don't like to advocate for, for instance, I listened to Conan O'Brien's podcast, and right now he has a deal with one of the Samsung OLEDs or whatever the fuck the TV is out now that they're promoting.
Right.
And people in that realm are basically saying, you don't need to go to the theaters anymore because you have it in your living room, and the sound and the quality of the picture and the color. And it's like, no. Losing. If you're losing anything by staying at home, it's the immersion.
Yeah, that's just the immersion.
Yeah.
But
Take it this way.
I'm just saying, hold on. Okay. My bad. I'm just saying, how clear can a picture get? How much clearer can a lens get? How much glass?
But most filmmakers don't even know how to use it.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying maybe tomorrow. I'm saying
Yeah.
in the future, we're going to want to see a film and be in it. And the soap opera effect, I know that it sounds, I don't even like to use it. I like to use the 120 hertz. Helps us keep, I don't even know how to say it.
I know how-
I think it's a tool.
Close to the
I
reality.
think just like the 240-degree situation, I think it's a tool for certain situations. Is 120...
Okay, I'll put it like this. Goodfellas.
Uh-huh.
Imagine 30, 40 years from now, being able to feel like you're in there. You want
a video game, dude. You don't want a film.
Hey, bro, we're going there. We're almost going there. Like everything is just gonna be.
It's
Let me
it's
ask you
interesting
something.
to talk about like VR and like Futurama. When Futurama, you can go into a certain situation.
No, but I'm saying that's why we watch movies, right? To get lost in this fantasy world. And we're talking about video games.
But when you're in there, are you really lost in it, or are you now in it and experiencing?
That's what I'm saying.
something?
Like, how much clearer until we're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
dude.
If I could
Can I
sell
walk you through that?
If I could sell you a pen, right, and just go with me for a second.
Yeah, I seen Wall Street.
If I sell you, let's say, a marker, a literal magic marker that whatever you draw
becomes real.
you can smell that thing. Now, hear me out.
Okay.
So if you draw a banana, it smells like a banana.
Okay, where
If
you
you draw
getting
an apple, it smells like an apple.
Okay.
If you draw
Yes,
a
we get
car,
it. We get it.
it smells like a car.
What if I draw?
Are you gonna use that marker every day?
Yeah.
No, you're not. No
I'm
one's
draw a
gonna use
hamburger
it
every fucking
no
day.
one's
I'm
gonna
gonna draw
use
the
it.
nicest
Because
crusty.
what I'm
Because
saying-
it'll give you cancer.
There's certain look. Okay.
That was
This is the
horrible.
last thing I'll say about it.
All I'm saying is that marker is pointless. Like, it's a tool. It might work for some things, but you're not going to want to use that stupid thing
There's
for
certain
everything.
cinemas. This is now being adapted.
Smell-o-vision.
Kind of. You go to a theme park. You go to Universal Studios. You go to the Shrek 4D ride. That's what it's called.
4D.
Or I think it's 5D.
Fifth dimension.
It'll be a ride, essentially, right? A 3D ride, quote unquote. You wear the glasses and everything. And then it'll spray water in your face when there's water in the film.
That's the future.
Oh gosh, and it'll donkey
smell.
farts. You smell his fart.
That's the future, baby.
That's what Castro wants.
I hope not.
No, that's what we're getting at.
It is very immersive. But here's the key of a good storyteller.
We're not watching.
The key of a good storyteller is to show you a red apple and make you feel like you know what it fucking smells like, what it tastes like.
That's
you know what I'm
good.
saying?
That's good.
A good storyteller can do that without the gimmicks.
But imagine that good writer
Yeah.
with that technology.
Woo!
No.
James Cameron's the only one doing anything with it, man. He's the only storyteller.
look what he's doing.
Yeah, and it takes him 10 years to
That's
make
what
one
I'm saying.
picture.
Slap 50 years. Look at.
Yeah.
I think
He'll
that's
be
where we're
dead
headed.
by then.
Your kids will enjoy your smell-o-vision, Castro.
But
No,
I
you're
think
not
that's where
wrong.
we're heading at.
I think you're not wrong. That technology is heading in that direction.
Certain people watch films for certain reasons. I don't know what
Yeah.
you guys, but for me, is the story, the 1970s. Dude, I want to feel what it's like.
Yeah.
You know
Do
what
you
I'm saying?
feel like
I think there's a limit to what you could tell and show Easy, fellas.
I think that disregards every other type of like artistic medium.
Because that's why movies are getting stale. Because they're repeating the same story.
No,
because
no.
that-
Movies
Nah,
are
let's
not
get
getting
into it.
stale. Movies are not getting stale because of how you exhibit a film. But we've been
'Cause
exhibiting
we're
films the
running out
same
of
way
ways.
for over 100 years. That's not
That's
why.
what I'm saying.
No, but like
No,
That's what I'm saying.
why is it that for as good as the technology is today, like, and hear me out, like as good as the technology is today for 5D and super sharp lenses and cameras that can give you every angle and all that,
Right.
like why do books still exist? Why do people explore?
They're not.
Yes, they are.
They're going away.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're going on your phone. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You can read there now.
Yeah.
So the print exists. The print is not dead. Like
Dude, the
print.
newspaper's barely hanging on to the
why
last.
are there still like museums with paintings? Why are there sculptures?
Yeah,
If-
just because something is going digital
If
doesn't mean
the
it's going
point
away.
of like life is to get closer to life, then why do all these other artistic things exist?
So
it's
why
not for their.
are you watching movies in
It's not for
in
their
a projector?
perfection. It's not for their
It
perfection.
started off in the
It's-
little ones, right? But we evolve.
No, but it's not for their perfection. It's for what that does to us emotionally. It's for the way we interpret it.
I'm 100% with
And
you
by
guys.
the way, it's not. It shouldn't be like that for
Yeah.
everything. I think again because something like HDR or 120 hertz something. I think it's a tool even for exhibition. We're not going too far. We just talked
No,
about.
I love what you just
we
said
just talked about. You know,
about, like,
35
it
millimeter
makes you
and doubling that. We're going to use 70 millimeter. You shouldn't see every film in 70 millimeter. It's kind of pointless. It's kind of
What about,
overkill.
Okay, but what if we double that?
140 millimeters now. But
Sharknado,
you should
70
no, no. You should
That should be
Right.
seen in any format.
No, you shouldn't see. You should see the film the way the director intended you to see the film.
Is this
For
worth
sure.
seeing in 35?
What this film?
This one?
It's worth seeing in high quality in HDR.
In smell-o-vision?
In smell-o-vision. You want to smell shrapnel and
Custer, how about we
use
put on
napalm in the war?
How about we put on a vest and every time somebody gets shot, you get like
Oh,
shocked?
Dude.
for a video game, I do want that. Like when
video game,
No,
yes.
but it's because it's video game movies, we're all headed in the same direction. We all want that.
again, video games are becoming their own artistic medium where
Custer, just go buy a VR and hang out, man.
like I've seen in games
Dude, if we're older, we're still talking to each other, dude, and it does happen. I'm going to tell you guys.
You know what I used to when I was a kid? My brother had one of those. I think it's from Brookstone or something. He had one of those personal cinema thing, the glasses, right? That had earbuds and the closed off, and then it would create the distance between the goggles and the thing to make you feel like you're in a movie theater.
Right.
yeah.
It was the coolest thing in the fucking world for me. I loved it.
Why don't I have it?
But you know what? I liked it. I didn't like it because of the immersion. I liked it because it was private. I liked it because I was like, I could watch something and it'll
keep in time.
it'll
Let's
keep
be
me.
honest, how much mature content did he watch?
Well,
I have to clear their history, huh?
yeah.
Oh, I like have you seen that the YouTube video where it's this like kid in his room with his VR goggles and he's like
Oh, yeah.
and then like the brother's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, yeah, like
So, anyways, but again, I didn't. I guess I'm just like, I think if something is made well
yeah.
and its intention is
Do you,
there,
But
can I,
you understand where I'm coming
I
from.
definitely understand.
Put
You're not wrong.
everything you just said.
You're not wrong.
The director's great at
Yeah.
that. With
Let me tell you
technology?
something, dude.
Can
Let me
I-
tell you something. Maybe because we're still scratching the surface. Alejandro Iñárritu made a VR film, fucking went nowhere. Robert Rodriguez made a VR film, fucking went nowhere. Nobody gives a shit.
No,
They
but
just don't.
I'm not saying VR.
It's the same shit. We're going there. That's what it is.
Okay. Just
No, I don't think. I don't think the future is having shit on your head.
I think okay. Let's come back to the bigger conversation
Let's talk
because
about the intention of showing a soldier's ass cheeks.
That was a good
That was
scene.
I did want that scene to go further. Like I
He
did.
did say that.
I wanted them to turn around and have a Avengers-esque comedic moment where they're like, "Where you close that?" Like I really wanted that, but
Just wanted some swinging coming this way into the camera.
We don't
no,
need that gun. We
but
need this gun.
I want to kind
one's for
of
playing,
I
this
want to
one's for
reel it back in to what I was arguing about earlier, and I don't know if I'm the only crazy one in the room.
Probably are.
But like you mentioned, you thought it had a lot of cinematic merit, the cinematography, and
I think
what
so.
what did you see? What substantiates the rating? What, because I know that I'm on a different platform.
When you've seen enough of these war films, you start to see what is being used as a gimmick, what is being used as a formula, but then you start seeing the elements that make that a gimmick or a formula. When you take them and you use them correctly, then they don't become that. They become a strong tool, a strong, you get spits and stick to make a house. As long as you're making it properly, that fucking house will.
What's is there any standouts for you?
I remember thinking they did this crane shot coming up from one of the buildings, to show you the start of the battle. And I was like, whoa, all right. Intentionality. Where any other war film will use the crane shot just to show the spectacle. This was Sergio Leone. We're gonna start some shit.
Okay.
That was good. I thought the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge one really stood out.
Because
we were all guessing. We're all like
trying to figure out how they did it, right?
The helicopter. Drone.
That was good. Again, a lot of the panning. What's impressive about that too is you have to have the right actors if you're gonna have a wonder for 3 minutes. You have to have, and then there's dialogue. All of that was done extremely well.
Yeah.
And again, it flipped it on its wig because like even there was one shot where you were like, for composition, this is exactly what we should have expected. A soldier pops up in the doorway and we're like, rack focus. You were like, rack focus, rack focus, rack focus. And they didn't use it the way we thought they were going to use it. And they moved camera up, then we focus in on him in the doorway.
Dumb.
Why dumb? Because you wanted him to rack focus because that's what we expected it to do.
It wasn't doing anything by lingering on this guy who's already been told no for whatever they were talking about. And I don't know, I wasn't able to connect it. Okay, my own fault. I wasn't able to connect into the dialogue and I wasn't seeing what was going on there. We have this other soldier that's standing there at the door and he's probably doing his job. But then later on we rack to him after the whole sequence is over.
After it's his turn.
Only after we finish the entire conversation.
No. Because you weren't paying attention to the dialogue, this was the fucking the black commander who was like afraid of everything, who didn't know how to deal with chaotic situations, and like they're dealing with him on one situation, and then the soldier comes to tell him, "Hey, elders are at the gate." He's like, "Fuck, here we go."
Okay,
like there's a line of things that you have to deal with. So, are you really capable of this shit? Like, there's somebody waiting for the next problem while you're dealing with this one. And then we're done with this problem. We're going to move the camera. We're going to focus on him. He's going to say his bit.
It was here, wasn't it?
No, it was when he was sitting down. They were like by the rack of the
similar
food.
composition, but no.
Anyways, there's moments like that where I felt like there was intentionality in order.
Yeah. No, what I mean, like.
Yeah. Okay, we're done with that problem.
Okay.
Now this man has to deal with this problem.
We're still on this guy.
Yeah, but what just happened?
This guy.
I agree with him.
Still on this guy.
Well, what just happened? Look what they're talking about.
Why
why didn't we fix the composition? Why is most of the frame giving you this? Sure, we're not going to focus on them yet, but why aren't we giving this actor his time? And then we cut over to this guy and then just like, okay, fuck it. Like,
I'm with him. That was a weird one.
What did we just finish going through with him?
Castro.
What's up?
You're that actor.
Yeah,
they're telling you this scene is going to focus on your reactions. This isn't giving full respects to your reactions.
Exactly.
This is more going on in the frame.
But
point
you're focusing here for the entire time. Sure, I'm just saying, if we're going to justify it by saying that we're focusing on him and we're trying to look, you could have
ended the back.
You could have cut this guy's face. You could have probably gone half there. Yeah. Given this guy a little bit more power,
the whole point is to not lose this character.
You don't lose these two. You don't lose that guy. You're staying with them.
No. Why? You can't lose this character in the slightest. We're about to walk into his office to see the piss. That has to be changed out. Not to mention, look at the character that's coming in. That's Ty's character. There's too much importance going on in all of this. Look at the frame. There's 4 people in the frame. Guy we're focused on, he's getting his ass chewed out. The guy who we have to see is afraid of everything. the guy that's going to take over after this one's gone, and the guy who's changing out the piss for him. All of equal importance in the frame. We're focusing on him because he just got his ass chewed out about something that he knows is wrong.
It just doesn't.
But they're both in focus. And then
They're both
here,
in focus.
right here, we're going to stay focused on him.
Let's linger on him a little bit, then go back.
Why aren't we
That's
focusing
what
on
you
this guy?
expect to do. That's what you want to happen. That's not what the intention here is.
Well, it just throws me off. I'm like,
No, because I mean, why aren't we giving more power to this guy to show?
He has no power. He's powerless. What did his character turn
Then
into?
why aren't we giving this guy more power?
Because he's the one that has the power right now. Right
Why are
here.
we giving it to him?
What do you mean? He's the only guy in focus in the frame.
No, but why don't you frame it better? Give him the
There's
opportunity.
too much going on in the frame.
No, man, give him a little bit more of the opportunity, and then afterwards, when he steps out, you can focus. You can continue the shot, but give.
I don't think so. I think they did something pretty good.
Okay.
I think they did something pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially to give him the time to process what just happened.
Speaking of,
That's literally what's going on in this shot, by the way. He's processing exactly what he just chewed his ass about because he wants to protect.
but then it's
his
just
soldiers.
weird. But then it's just weird that the whole background is there's still
I'm sorry
something
that it
happening.
makes you feel awkward. He feels awkward.
For sure, but it just looks weird in the background. Like there's things going on, but it's still on him. And I know you're saying that we're staying on him so
Yeah.
he could process the thing, and then we go back to this guy, but it just doesn't feel right.
Speaking of feeling awkward, you know what's awkward? Getting through this much of the podcast and not being currently subscribed. Please
What are you
don't
guys
forget.
doing with your life, man?
I'll agree to you. I'll agree to you. Maybe my frustrations are coming in the fact that it's maybe not doing something more traditional, and maybe you're right. Maybe
No, don't give up.
No. I wanna give credit where credit is due.
It's 'cause look,
this is what I mean.
Look, we have maybe 1/16th of the frame.
Okay. Now that I've communicated effectively. No. I want to give credit where credit is due because this is a person using an Arri Alexa Mini LF, and then plus he also wanted to go with vintage lenses, as Austin was showing right now, because they were more compact and it was going to allow him to get into these very intimate situations and give you this like front view of what it is to be there. So this guy obviously had the intention of like, I'm trying to give you that, but using these lenses gives you a very interesting perspective. He could have gone wide here, and he could have done what a lot of other military films do, which is give you this traditional wide and show everybody, and it's super crisp. When you rack focused shots like these, it's because there is intention. There is intention as far as who is in power, who's not in power, who are we going to focus on right now? And
You really want me to shift focus to the piss guy? Like what does that mean?
Can you just play it? Let me just see what's going on.
No, it's because look, this is what I mean by this film taking not risks as much as it's having intentionality behind its cinematography.
And back away.
You really want me to focus on the piss guy while we just had a whole conversation about which soldiers are being saved?
No, I
and
wouldn't
which
say
aren't?
the piss guy. I would say on the black dude a little bit.
He's already established his power or lack thereof.
But then you're just
That's when he brings up you'll get an extra $1,000.
Yes.
Then I agree with the law. The framing could have been a little bit better.
No, I'm good.
I know that I know it's a stack one.
My point is there was more intentionality in the cinematography of this film versus other war films.
For sure.
Other modern war films.
Yeah, for sure. Again, where they might have focused on the spectacle, this one really did want to. It did want to say that there's more to communicate in this scene, and this scene's very important, by the way. I mean, I do want to
just look at it. The framing that you're wanting is right there. It just happened earlier in the frame. It just happened. How are you going to frame this when we're panning this way? Getting set up for where we're about to go to.
I guess maybe it's a too traditional of a way to think about it, but I think if I was to be in this scene in the shot, I would have done a very similar framing to this. But then when we get to the place where we're done kind of having this like conflicting point between the both of them,
I think that would have gotten stale.
I
would
would have stayed there. I don't know. Maybe the dialogue is too long or something like that. I think I probably would have stayed on this guy, just to maybe focus on this reaction of like, because there is a bit of the defeat, kind of like you have to play the card of I'm going to listen to the officer in charge of me or the person above me.
I think that would have been just too cheesy.
You think so?
I think it would have been too cheesy, and we would have just stayed at this kind of Hollywood reaction shot of, ooh, I didn't get my way, where there's so much more going on, and we just see a fraction of him in the frame so that he can continuously process this as the rest of the action is going on.
Yeah.
By the way, and I'm not saying that this risk paid off in the mass kind of audience. Mm-hmm. What I am saying is that when you decide to take risks like these, you break the form a little bit. You're not going with the traditional shot that's expected for this type of picture, this type of scene, which I have to applaud. As a director, I have to applaud it. I have to applaud the risk he took here.
I think what they needed to do here, especially like if you see the type of focus we're getting, I think what they had to do, and especially the way that the actor's very stiff there, maybe it's just the military kind of like stiffness, but the way that he's standing, there's an intention of, as long as you stay there, when we get to this framing, I can have you in focus while not revealing the rest. But the second they rack, everything gets really sharp, really fast. Like, I mean, it's kind of wild, the speed at which they go to this next framing. Because look, he's right there. This guy had to back up a little bit, a couple of feet. And then after backing up a couple of feet, they can keep this composition. The second they rack over, watch how sharp everybody gets. Like, it's very quick, you know? So definitely a lot of intention towards that composition. Definitely a lot of intention towards... There was a choice of how they wanted to keep things framed up.
I think the DP and the director probably argued about this shot a lot.
Is it because we're arguing?
Yeah. No, but I think they probably argued about the shot a lot, but I think it was consistency versus choice. Right, where the director is going to say, listen, I want to continuously maintain these 2-minute oneers in every piece of important conversation. And the DP's like, yeah, but we're going to miss a shot. Like, no, I wanted to maintain this composition when I have 4 people in a room and they're arguing about something important where we can just continuously do this.
What was the timestamp on it, Austin? I just thought it'd be fun for the people playing at home.
Yeah.
I think it's...
Starts at like...
The frame we're talking about specifically was...
Starts at 53 minutes.
53 minutes, okay. So for those playing at home...
In case we don't put it up in...
Yeah. For those playing at home, at 53 minutes in the film, there's a moment when the black officer, who's kind of the cowardly one... that the whole team's kind of feeling uneasy about. He's having this conversation, showing authority.
But anyways, that's not the only shot in the film that I give merit to. I mean, I think...
The bridge shot.
Yeah, the bridge shot.
Really
but
well done. I'll say a lot of the combat shots, especially like... oh, man, every time I look at these action films or war films, I think a lot of merit I'll give to the DP or the camera operator is those tracking shots to make the actors look like they're running at full speed, but you're right in front of them the whole time.
Yeah,
you know?
the last one where Ty's character's carrying a mace, where they're carrying mace back to the base.
And it looks like they're going at full speed because the actor's like, oh, it's the moment that, you know, I need to save this guy. I'm using every ounce of energy I can to save this guy. And the camera's there. Like, the camera is...
Let go. And he just breaks down.
Yeah.
That was a wonder. You know, like, again, the cinematography was
really impressive oneers, really impressive single shots.
And micro oneers, right? It doesn't need to be gimmicky. Just these micro oneers that we're going to use.
Again, that adds to the immersion because, like I said, and kind of when I gave my rating earlier, it's super impressive when a film's able to get you so on the line of what's going on and the separation between the audience and them. You're just right there.
Yeah.
Where all of us, we just were quiet the entire sequence. Like there was so much going on.
For 40 minutes, right? That's
for 40 minutes, we were just quiet and observing and really immersed. And I mean, I feel like few few films can do that.
Keep your attention for that long of a sequence.
Yeah, I think just shake an audience member where like it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. Or I know when we were watching what is it called, Come and See, there was a lot of those moments where we're just like,
Yeah.
oh God, and they
The
feel
entire
like
picture.
they feel like wonders, you know.
By the same token, when we're not focused in the fighting sequence for 40 minutes, we're joking around the same way they're joking around on screen.
Because we're comfortable, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Any rating changes?
I'll go to a 7.5.
7.5.
Mine stays at 6.8.
You?
I'll stay at a 7. I think I'm comfortable at a 7.
I think I'll stay at my rating. I will give it a rewatch. I will definitely give it a rewatch, and I will definitely give it a little bit more attention to maybe the different departments because I did enjoy the film, and I did enjoy what it did. I think also whenever we watch films and the unspoken kind of challenge amongst all of us, we're always trying to give ratings based on everything we've seen.
Yeah.
And that's always a challenge
It's a
because
challenge as hell.
I've noticed, especially now that we're like over the hump of 100 episodes. Oh my God. Like every time we see a film, like I think now when we have to choose each other, like, hey, who's going to rate it first? I'm like, oh, damn it. Please don't make me go.
Yeah,
because then I'm like, am I going to say a number that
Keeps us honest.
It keeps us on it, exactly.
All
Yeah.
right, Talal, you're going first next time.
9, 10, 8.
10.8?
Can I get a little annoying? Just go back on the thing.
On
No,
what?
no, yeah, what's going on?
On the soap opera thing.
Oh,
Tell us, buddy. What's on your
It's
mind?
dumb, but trust me, it makes sense. It's like when people when before the camera was invented and they did paintings.
uh-huh.
Or they just looked at it.
Exactly.
What about it?
What do you think that transition was like for painters? Like, yo, this is my painting. This is what we have done for millions of years.
People still paint.
No, that's what I'm saying. But those were the guys that
Idiots.
That's how like these guys are like they're stuck with that. Like, yo, the paintings tells a lot. Hey, if you really look at it and you really detail it, but then it's like, no, but this new technology could say a lot more. I feel like
The
you guys
issue is right now, and maybe you're right.
Can you look
maybe
up the first photo, Austin?
50 years, this will change.
It's out
Right now?
overlook of a balcony.
The exhibition's getting ahead of the shooting.
No, for sure. What do you mean, like?
We're not shooting on 16K cameras.
No,
We're
for
not
sure.
shooting on 8K cameras.
No, for sure. The
We're
shit
shooting
technology is
at
that
most on 6K cameras.
for sure.
You know, so
But you're missing
people
what I'm
are
saying.
being fooled. By the way, when you buy an 8K TV, there's nothing coming out that is an 8K. Nothing.
Look, hey, I don't know if you guys
No,
even
but
know
that's like
this little fun
future.
fact.
I remember this.
Future-proofing?
Yes,
Little fun fact: over the air channels like Fox, CBS, stuff like that, a lot of them still broadcast in 720.
Yeah.
Oh, I think like K-Fox, the biggest thing is that they just upgraded to 1080, right?
And they're still broadcasting in 720 right now.
yeah.
Yeah. So and
That's
again,
crazy.
there's nothing wrong with that. You want to future proof. You want to kind of talk about that. I just think that
But that's a good analogy,
everybody
right?
should be.
I think that was a good analogy.
Everybody should be fucking.
We all fucks together.
We all fucks together.
We fucks together.
Everybody love everybody.
I think the problem with cinema and TV in general is that they're not talking. Back in the day, man. Even in the 40s, right? The studios and the directors were in cahoots with the theaters. Okay, we all got to be on the same page here. We're shooting on this with the intention to distribute it this way. So can your theaters handle these capabilities? That was always the streamlined thing. Even up to like the early 2010s, that was still the conversation. How many theaters have IMAX? How many theaters have the capability for 3D? How many theaters have this, that, and third? They don't do that anymore. They're not talking to each other, mostly because TV companies are gimmicking 8K TVs that have no fucking function.
I think you miss. I hear what you're saying, but you're missing my whole point.
That's what the future looks like. I get it. I
That
understand
you
where
guys
you're
are
going
stuck
for.
on like, no, that's not how cinema. That's what painters used to say. Until they
no.
saw something moving.
Maybe, but there's still. I still just see it as a tool. I don't see it as the way of the future. I think it's going to be one of the many tools. I'm positive that's what other people were saying about Technicolor.
You know what's interesting?
But we're still shooting in black and white with intention.
You know what's interesting? Art history.
I think I make a solid point with that one.
No, you do. But what's interesting is that when photography came out, This is the first photograph.
Oh,
of a man.
whoa, that's what I'm looking at.
That's the first photograph ever.
What year?
I think it's 1860s, maybe.
That's a cool find.
But what's interesting is that when this came out, a lot of painters.
It was up there. It was like 1827 or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of painters were scared because originally, like for royalty, right? When royalty.
1826 and 1826.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Royalty, when they wanted to like show their image, they would use paintings. And then like what happens is that there was actually rules for paintings that if the person was important, they would look directly like straight on into the painter. And if you were less than important, you were not allowed to look straight on because of how much authority and weight it had. And you had to look away, or like they would have people looking up if they were good, looking down if they were bad, stuff like that.
That's fine.
But when photography came out, you know, for a while, it was always this challenge of like the best painter could make the most accurate depiction of the person.
Okay.
But now we have photos photos, there's no.
See, this guy's coming along.
There's no
This guy's really coming along.
who is like, what does this person look like? Because now that's what they actually look like. This is
buddy.
a photo. So you would think, oh, painting is dead. The art form is dead. Well, then after that moment, when we lost like the need for painters to get more realistic, the medium changed. Then now painters were saying, but what are we feeling? And that's when you started getting a lot of impressionism and a lot of cubism and basically painters saying like, what if we painted this, but we're moving the opposite direction? We're not going to get more realistic, but we're going to show things for emotionally what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of like that. As the mediums moving forward with like, let's say us being able to get more immersive and the technology is going to get better where we're going to be able to get
It's just
Not
going
what's
to
immersive.
become
No,
another
but
Get away from immersive.
We're gonna
That's
get-
just 50% of what we're saying. My bad.
No, but
It's just going to be another tool in the belt.
360 video. Look.
It just is.
360
man.
video. Like for a while, you're trying to make cameras that are smaller and then with wider lenses and that could go into any little crevice and all that kind of stuff, right? Like you like the invention of the Red One was to make a cinema camera that was lightweight, could like fit on the canoe, right?
The canoes, yeah. I was trying to think of the film.
And like have lenses and all that would be able to work in these very small, compact things. But then from there, the action cameras came out. And when action cameras came out, that gave you that personal, small way of recording. Cinema cameras weren't going to try to compete with that anymore. Then they're like, no, well, we're gonna emphasize what makes us different. And I think it was saying, sure, we could get more immersive. We could dive in and we could make it that it almost feels like you're there. But is that the point? Or is the point that we're able to give you a perspective that nobody else has but the director, and they're able to give you a singular vision on a singular screen?
Now, isn't that just a more advanced painter?
No, I think that's the medium deciding this is what this medium's for, you know?
I'll go back to what I literally just said, what we're all trying to say here.
I'm sorry.
No.
My bad.
I literally just said the invention of Technicolor. We were talking about the Wizard of Oz last night. The invention of Technicolor and cinema having color in films now. Well, that was in the 1930s. And then we're going to go shoot The Lighthouse in black and white with very intentional situations. What
was that?
Oh, no, I just wanted to back you up.
Oh, great.
Okay, nice.
Thank you.
I think I'll tell you back somebody.
Again,
No, I see what you're
we're going to get black and white. Okay, we've moved on. We've progressed.
Yeah,
We
but
can
they-
shoot
but
color
yeah,
now.
but you wanna-
Why go back? Because it's a tool.
No.
Same thing. 8K in 50 years when they're at 20K or whatever on TVs or whatever, it's going to exist. You know what? I want to shoot on 8K because that was a certain situation.
like people going back and shooting on VHS again.
Yeah. I think it's just going to all become a tool. I think eventually, I don't think there's a way, because you know why? By saying that's the way of the future, you're creating a ceiling for cinema and TV and everything.
You guys are creating the ceiling.
No.
I'm the one saying
There's more to explore.
there's more, just like the action cameras, and we found out that we could do action cameras with less bulk.
Just broadening the tool shed. That's all it's doing for me. I think that it's cool to, like, if I wanted to shoot Hardcore Henry, right?
Oh, man.
of course, I'm gonna fucking lean into action cameras
Right.
and 8K footage, and of course, it's a tool. But I think you have to remain intentional. Always.
So you're telling me.
Always remain intentional.
So you telling me that
think
in 100 years we're still gonna be looking at a box
Yeah.
Yeah.
at 24 frames per second?
Yeah.
We kind of, that's happened 100 years ago.
No.
Yeah, it did.
We
We were looking at a box 100 years ago.
We can watch-
at 24
we
frames
can
a
watch
second.
no, but
movies-
now we're watching it in 30, 60, 120.
You're shooting it at 30, 60, 120. You're not watching it in 30,
No, because it's
60,
possible
120.
now. Back then it couldn't.
No, but now you can shoot movies.
Come on, man.
You can shoot
Guys,
movies.
bro, back then you were able to shoot at any frames you wanted.
No, bro.
Yeah, you could.
Well, I mean, it depends how much you spliced it off, but you can't do a 1,000 frames.
No. It depends how long you cranked it for and for how many frames you cranked it for. You were always able to shoot it whatever.
Well, I'm saying it's easier now. It's easier. It's more flexible now.
Why aren't films shot at like 1,000 frames a second? We can do that. There's ghost cameras
There's a
that do
YouTube
that.
channel called the Super Slow Mo Guys.
Yeah, but they don't do that because they
I think
realize
part
that
of
We're
what
still
the law
young,
saying-
and we're still young. That's what I'm saying.
I
we're
think part
still
of what the
young
law
in
is
this
saying is
shit.
true. I think you should max out whatever you want to max out it. It doesn't mean the human brain can process it well.
Oh, yeah, that's
number
true.
one, and like
absorb.
how much of it can you really take before you start? It's like that scene in
now
Ready Player One.
now you're.
What's the thing in Ready Player One
human
where he's
mind
like,
can do
we
incredible
know
things."
we can take up to 80% of the frame without giving somebody a seizure. Like it's like how much can you really get?
I'm saying you guys sound like you guys are putting a ceiling to what cinema could be. You guys are already saying that cinema is 24 and it's going to be like that forever.
I don't think so.
That's putting a ceiling.
We shot scenes for my film in 120 frames. We didn't just show the film in 120 frames. It's a tool.
Hey,
It's a
Carlos, do you think I'll be a tool one day?
tool.
for cinema?
Everybody out there, if
be a
you've
tool for
stayed this long listening to
Yeah,
us, I appreciate it.
appreciate
It's
it,
an ongoing battle that I have with these guys.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
Thank you for tuning into War Month. Thank you for watching this film and for staying this long into this episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's other. Should we do another War Month next year? I don't think
you
we
wanna
have
get
one
sad
planned.
again?
You want to get fucked up again? No, let us know if you want us to do another war film, War Month rather. I don't think we have it lined up for next year.
officially gonna start Christmas?
We are.
I don't even know what the song is.
Perhaps.
What do you mean? Perhaps is
We'll
December
have to talk
not
about
coming?
it. Yeah, we'll have to talk about it after the podcast. On tap. Our
On
Christmas
We
film.
got
We're gonna cover
domestics.
Tom Hanks.
We're going to cover Tom Hanks. Is that what's actually next? Yeah, on the schedule. We're going to be talking about Bob
Tom Hanks.
Zemeckis' The
Tom
Polar
Hanks.
Express.
Oh, yes.
Starring
I
Tom
love that one.
Hanks.
No,
for-
it's
Also-
Tom Hanks.
starring Tom Hanks.
Oh, it's also a
playing
viewer
Tom
request.
Hanks. It is a viewer request. You mentioned
No,
your-
it's not.
No,
It's
no, but
my pick.
yes.
It's
so was this
mine.
one.
It's his.
Christmas films next week, folks. Tune in and thank you for tuning into the WatchTower Film Podcast. Good night.
And don't be afraid to put down the brush and pick up the camera like these old folks over here.
All right.
Camera.
Love you guys.
The camera is the brush.
And I'm proud
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
American.
That's what I'm saying.